Good afternoon. I'm Gary Metro. I'm the editor of the Southern Illinoisan, and this is a meeting of the Southern Illinoisan Editorial Board. We have a guest with us this afternoon, and she is a candidate for the mayor of Marion.
Thank you. I appreciate the invite.
And your name is?
Carolyn Swartos, running as Carol Swartos.
Okay.
And again, Bob Williams, publisher of the Southern Illinoisan.
Also on the panel is our reporter.
Fidel Rodriguez.
Okay. Well, as we've told you, that we'd like you to give us your campaign pitch. Tell us why you want to be the mayor of Marion, and we'll ask you questions and we'll have a conversation.
Okay. I believe that what I have to offer Marion is I have 30 years of business experience and very high-powered, very large corporations, very similar in budget and staffing as Marion is itself. I moved to Marion when I was recruited by the hospital back in 1996 to design and build Heartland Clinic and to be the vice president of the Marion Hospital. But Marion was coming back home for me. My family has been in Marion since 1820. I have two great-great-great-grandmothers in the Rose Hill Cemetery. So this has always been home to my family. And my parents moved north for jobs, which I had no say-so then, at 18 months old, where they took me, but always with the plan to move back home. So this is home. My 8-year-old father lives with me. My brother and his family live here. And my son got out of the Navy. He moved his family here. And my daughter is at SIU. So this is home to us. We don't even have any family living north of Marion. This is home. But I came to really feel as this was home. We always referred to we're going home. We weren't going, anywhere else but home. And when I came here and started working with the city as a consultant back in 1997, I started working as collecting accounts receivable for the old hospital and also for SIH. I was a healthcare consultant. I had my own consulting business. The Egyptian Revival building was my business, my building, and I handled 20 practices, and day-to-day to hiring docs to staffing and day-to-day operations. Then I ran in 2007 for commissioner. Unsuccessfully, I lost royally, bottom of the line, okay? But it was an exhilarating experience because I wanted to get into public service. I wanted to feel that I could make a difference in my hometown. So after that, I was hired by the Marion Daily to be an investigative reporter. Well, that took me another whole tangent. As you know, an investigative reporter does many, many hours of research to write a few columns of print. And through that research, I started discovering the Open Meeting Act. And I did a series on the City Council of Marion where they had 1,159 violations of the Open Meeting Act. And when I went to Mayor Butler and asked him, why would you do this? Because, I was a true believer and wanted to know, just curiosity, why would you do it? And the answer was, not the law in Marion. And that intrigued me even more. So then I started looking at Sugar Creek. I started looking at the pavilion. I started looking at courthouse documents and deeds and started uncovering more and more and more. Well, my publisher and I took the 1,159 violations to the state's attorney, Garnati, who only action he took was to call Mayor Butler and say, straighten this action up. And Mayor Butler's response was, me and the boys will start behaving. There was no reprimand where Carbondale got sent back to school for one violation, but this was just, straighten it up. And I started saying,
Why didn't you take it to the state attorney general?
Because, in all honesty, Garnati told me don't, that it would be bounced back to him, and he would be bleaked, upset at me. So it would not go any further. So anyway, all these other things that we started finding out, some things the paper would report and some things they wouldn't. We brought to other news media, some would report and some wouldn't. But what we didn't see was change in behavior. And I've never questioned, never debated the growth of Marion. I mean, you can look at a building and see a new restaurant, a new business. That's not the debate. The debate is the method in which they were achieved, the process even with the TIFs, and what does it truly cost us, the taxpayers, for that process. Because you can tout that, TIFs do not raise your taxes one thin dime. Well, they don't raise your city taxes. But the deficit they cause offsets your county taxes and your school taxes from the state. So there is a cost. And just as a matter of fact, on Sunday, there's a new article that was on the AP from the Quad Cities stating that TIF and the benefits are a true mystery, that it's actually being called they're actually calling it the slush fund, secretive slush fund of the politicians. And I talked to the county clerk today at Cook County, because he was quoted in this story, just to find out what they're doing. And Williamson County, they have all the counties rated. Williamson County alone has $70 million in actual properties, but none of it going to our schools. So you can understand why schools now are suing for not being able to come to the table. So I became an advocate of kids, an advocate of schools, and just saying, we can do this by the book and still grow. And we can reconnect as citizens to our government. But right now, we're just seeing enterprise, but we're not seeing anything else grow. And our kids are our future. We're educating them for export. We're not educating them to build our community. We're going to end up in a blighted community beside a blighted enterprise. And a lot of the enterprises that have been built can't pay their taxes anymore. The ballpark didn't pay their taxes. Circuit City hasn't paid taxes in 3 years. The mall got sold for taxes. So those revenues are lost anyway. So how do we turn it around and get everybody at the table, become partners in giving us the best school system, keeping jobs to keep our kids here, instead of being plaintiff and defendant? This is ridiculous for a city and a school to be at odds instead of being partners in building the best system they can. So I felt I had to step up. No one was stepping up. At first it was rumored that a local businessman was going to, and I was like, good, I'll walk door to door for him, I'll support him, and it turned out to be a rumor. So the last day, I was like, okay, no one else is stepping up. We've got to get this different.
So you object to the methods that were used to make Marion what it is now. What would you do after elected? How would you change things?
You need to actually, some of the tips, one, we got to stop the lawsuit between the city and the school, because you're just eating up tax dollars on both sides. When even in a recent interview with the Southern here, Mayor Butler and Bob Owens both agreed that the schools owed some money. So why not stop the lawsuit, get some good CPAs, and let's calculate what's owed, and let's get it done. Then let's look at bringing the taxing bodies to the table. Can we renegotiate some of these? It's a time of partnering, not of coveting. We need to sit there and see what we can renegotiate these TIF agreements, and everybody share, everybody take a little bit of a loss on it. And then you have investment. The taxing bodies have investment, the developer has investment, and so does the city. And the city funds from the TIFs, what are they using for them? You do a freedom of information request and ask where are the TIF funds going, no reply. Request denied. I asked a simple question, in our FOIA request, where does our tax dollars get deposited? In what bank or banks? Request denied. I want open government. I want to see that we are going to start making all this revealed to the taxpayers. This is their business. We are handling their business, and they are kept in the dark. And it's got to stop. Mayor Butler even campaigned in 1963 that he felt no secret should be, no transaction kept secret from the member of the council or the general public. What happened? What happened? Why are these things happening? Why do we have the pavilion shipping deeds back and forth? and quit claiming it and tax freeing it, and yet it sits on $2 million cash in the bank and you can't pay its taxes. You know, why do we have a ballpark that we're paying the mortgage through our sales tax, but there's no guarantee in the agreement that they even have to have a team there? So why? And we're getting ready to have a star bond with $383 million coming in. Where's that going to be deposited?
Yeah, talk about that. Is that a good idea or not a good idea?
I think the star bond, the way it was originally developed to be create jobs. I mean, nobody's going to turn down jobs. My concern is that it's not high-paying jobs. It might only be flipping burgers and making beds. You know, we need some high-paying career jobs. But right now, I mean, we're not seeing, you know, any primary vendors, you know, and corporates signing on. They're not partnering like Wolf Creek that's done it 27 times. They're trying to imitate it. And imitation usually fails. And you need to see, we as a public are not being informed. Now I know Mayor Butler and the council knows far more than I do because I'm not there, but the public is in the dark until it's a surprise announcement what's happening and when is it happening. That's not public disclosure. That's not giving the public what's happening and how they are actually pledging sales tax dollars to this project. The public doesn't understand that you're pledging 2.5 cents to this project of their sales tax. What is not going to be paid because of it? And you're also got eminent domain. Mayor Butler has made it clear that they need more land up there, and if they need it, he intends to take it under eminent domain. Okay, what if that's family farms? And why are you putting it there versus where they could have had the lake where they own 1,700 acres already? I mean, where was the process of the planning? The public's not been informed. I'm a member of the public. I'm a taxpayer, and I study the city hall a lot, and it's not being informed. I informed Mayor Butler. He says, "Well, this has been out in the public a long time." Well, in the Southern, you've reported things about the star bond since June. You know, going to trip to Springfield and all that. But you look at the city council minutes, it was never mentioned to September 18th and ratified 4 weeks later.
Well, that's,
So
how,
the public can
that's how
know.
the process went, and
Right.
we didn't have to do anything prior to that. Do you think the development would be good for Marion?
Yeah, I think the development could be very good. But the thing is that how are we going to deal with those tax dollars and how are we going to deal with the revenue that comes from it? If we're pledging sales tax, what is the city getting in return?
Carol, as I'm sitting here and I'm listening to you go through all this, I can't help but think, is this part of investigating, you're trying to do this, or because you want to expose it, or because you want to be a mayor and you're going to change it?
I think,
We're
clarifying.
clarifying. I
Okay.
mean, you're spending all this. You can look after and you can go after these type of things.
No, these are the types of things that, this is just the newest thing that, that has come to the table. I've investigated TIFs. I've investigated the pavilion. And that's what drove me to say, I think I can make it better. I can change it and make it more open to the people and also change some of the climate of the government. I am a business person. I look at it as being how to conduct business. And part of that business is being very open. There's no reason not to have minutes on the web. There's no reason not to have the checkbook on the web. I mean, why can't we be transparent and open? It's the public business that the public's not getting. Okay. I believe my business background is what I bring to the table that even Mayor Butler didn't have when he started.
Now, do you think that the reason this isn't transparency is because of the mayor, or is it the city council, or the way the government's being handled there?
I truly believe it's the way Mayor Butler chooses to operate, and the council follows. I mean, it's been this way for 48 years. They've had decades that they didn't even have agendas. And then after I wrote the series, they started putting agendas out, and they started recording. They did record the meetings before, but it was done by the high school, and it was spotty at best at coverage. But they did make that attempt, and I do, give that credit. It wasn't required, and they did that. But I suggest we bring it in-house so they can